A used EV with 100,000 miles on the clock sounds like a risk, but real-world data says otherwise. And once you see the numbers, you might completely rethink what high mileage even means for an electric car. Why 100,000 miles sounds scary for EV buyers? The fear around high-mileage EVs comes from a reasonable place. Batteries are expensive. A full-pack replacement on some vehicles can run anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the make and model. So the logic goes, more degradation, closer to a replacement bill you don't want. And there's no question that EV batteries do degrade over time. That's not a myth. But the degree of that degradation, especially on modern EVs, is where most people's assumptions fall apart. The 2025 Battery Performance Index, which analyzed over 8,000 electric cars and vans across 36 manufacturers, found that the average battery state of health across all vehicles tested was 95.15% of original capacity. EVs in the 4 to 5 year range showed median battery health around 93.5%. Even vehicles 8 to 9 years old came in at roughly 85%. And here's the number that really matters for this conversation. High-mileage EVs with over 100,000 miles on the clock often retain between 88 and 95% of their original battery capacity. That's not a worn battery. That's a battery that's still doing its job and doing it well. So, before you close that listing, understand what the data is actually telling you, because the numbers make a compelling case that 100,000 miles on an EV is not what it sounds like. How EV batteries age over time. To understand why the data makes sense, you need to understand how EV battery degradation actually works. It's not a cliff. It doesn't hold steady, then suddenly drops. Battery degradation happens gradually, and the curve tends to be steepest in the early miles. When it flattens out, then it flattens out significantly. Most modern EVs lose somewhere between 5 and 12% of their battery capacity over the first 100,000 miles. That range is wide because it depends on 3 key variables: charging habits, temperature exposure, and battery chemistry. On the charging side, frequent DC fast charging, especially in hot climates, pushes degradation higher. The heat generated during rapid charging is harder on the cells than the slow, consistent energy flow of a level 2 home charger. That's not a reason to avoid DC fast charging entirely. But a car that lives on public fast chargers daily will show more wear than one charged primarily at home overnight. Temperature exposure matters independently of charging. EVs that spent years parked outside in extreme heat, think desert climates, will generally show more capacity loss than cars garaged in mild weather. Cold climates affect range temporarily, but are generally less damaging to long-term capacity than sustained heat. Battery chemistry is the variable you can't change. Lithium iron phosphate batteries used in many newer EVs are inherently more stable and degrade more slowly than older nickel manganese cobalt chemistries. Knowing which chemistry is in the car you're evaluating gives you useful context for interpreting its health data. What 100 miles means for range. So, what does 5 to 12% capacity loss actually feel like in practice? Take a car that originally rated 300 miles of range. At 10% degradation, right in the middle of the normal range. You're looking at roughly 270 miles on a full charge. That's a 30-mile reduction. For the vast majority of drivers, that difference is almost unnoticeable in daily life. Most people charge at home overnight and drive far less than 270 miles between charges. The vehicle covers your commute, your errands, your weekend trips, and you'll plug in when you get home. Where it shows up more is on long-distance highway driving, where you're pushing range and relying on charging stops. A 30-mile reduction might mean one additional charging stop on a 600-mile road trip. That's worth knowing, but it's not a deal-breaker for most buyers. The VW ID3 is a useful real-world benchmark here. In independent endurance testing, a single ID3 covered 160,000 kilometers, nearly 100,000 miles, with frequent fast charging. At the end of that test, battery capacity was still at 91%. Another independent test on a separate ID3 confirmed 93% capacity after 100,000 kilometers. These aren't outliers. They're consistent with what the large-scale fleet data shows. Things that matter more than mileage. Here's what too many EV buyers miss. Mileage alone does not tell you enough. The 2025 Battery Performance Index made this point directly. In some cases, a newer high-mileage fleet vehicle had a healthier battery than an older low-mileage car. The odometer number is not the story. How the car was used is the story. The four things that matter more than mileage are battery health, charging history, the climate where the car was used, and warranty status. Battery health percentage is the only number that actually tells you what condition the battery is in right now. A recurrent report, a professional diagnostic, or a confirmed SOH reading from the manufacturer's app gives you real data instead of a mileage assumption. Charging history tells you how hard the battery was worked. A car with 100,000 miles that was primarily charged at home on level 2, kept between 20 and 80% daily, and rarely fast charged is in a different position than a 60,000-mile car that lived on DC fast chargers in Phoenix. Climate adds another layer. A 100,000-mile EV from the Pacific Northwest, mild temperatures, often garaged, is in a different position from the same car with the same mileage out of Las Vegas. Warranty status closes the loop on all of it. If significant battery warranty coverage remains, the manufacturer is still on the hook for anything below their guaranteed capacity threshold. That protection matters more than any number on the odometer. Maintenance on high-mileage EVs. One of the genuine advantages of a high-mileage EV over a high-mileage gas car is how little the drivetrain has actually been stressed. EVs don't have oil systems that accumulate carbon and wear. There's no complex automatic transmission with dozens of moving parts and fluid requirements. No exhaust system, no spark plugs, belts, or alternators. The electric motor itself has almost no wear items compared to an internal combustion engine. And on many EVs, the motor can be expected to outlast the battery by a wide margin. What does wear on a high-mileage EV is what wears on every car: suspension components, brake pads, tires, and the 12-volt auxiliary battery. These are known costs, easy to inspect, and straightforward to price. There are no hidden mechanical mysteries hiding behind 100,000 miles on an electric drivetrain, the way there can be on a gas car. That said, don't skip the basics. Check the tires for uneven wear. Uneven wear can indicate suspension issues. Listen for any creaking or bumps that might suggest worn bushings. Test the brakes. A used EV still needs a standard used car inspection for all the conventional wear items. The biggest risk when buying a used EV. With all of that context in place, here's the honest truth about where the actual risk lives. The biggest risk in buying a used EV isn't the mileage. It's buying a car with unknown battery health. A battery you haven't measured is a financial unknown, and a battery with serious degradation or cell-level problems can quietly undermine every other thing the car has going for it. This is why battery health verification isn't optional. It's the first and most important step in the entire evaluation. The tools to get that verification are accessible. Recurrent uses the VIN to pull battery data and produces a health estimate for many popular models. Tesla owners can charge to 100% and compare the indicated range against the original EPA figure. The math gives you a clear degradation picture. For other brands, an OBD2 adapter with EV-compatible software like LeafSpy, CarScanner Pro, or a Velo can pull actual cell data. And for the most accurate read on any car you're serious about, a professional EV diagnostic at a shop gives you cell-level voltage data and real capacity numbers. If the seller can't provide any battery health documentation and won't allow a diagnostic, that's the answer. Walk away. When buying a 100K mile EV actually makes sense. If you followed the process, checked the battery health, verified charging history, confirmed the climate, reviewed the warranty, a 100,000 mile EV can represent genuine value. It makes the most sense when three things line up. The battery health is confirmed above 85%, warranty coverage remains on the battery, and charging performance is normal, with no faults or errors in the system. When all three are true, you're getting a vehicle whose most expensive component has been independently verified as healthy, still has a manufacturer protection behind it, and has already absorbed the steepest phase of depreciation. The original owner paid full price and absorbed the first 30 to 40% value drop in the first couple of years. You're stepping in at the bottom of that curve. Beyond depreciation, the running costs work in your favor too. Maintenance on an EV is estimated to run around 40% cheaper than on a comparable gas car. No oil changes, no transmission service, no exhaust repairs. Combine that with significantly lower fuel costs, and a verified high-mileage EV doesn't just save you money up front. It saves you money every single month you own it. If you're already subscribed, you know we skip the noise and give you what matters. If you're not, hit subscribe and drop a like. This is the kind of content we put out every week. What to do? For many EVs, 100,000 miles is no longer high mileage in any meaningful sense. The batteries are engineered for it. The data confirms it, and the real-world fleet results back it up. Tesla, in its own engineering documentation, states that its battery systems are designed to last between 300,000 and 500,000 miles. Real-world data from high-mileage Tesla owners has produced examples well past 200,000 miles still running on original packs. The Tesla Model S that inspired some of the earliest used EV skepticism, the same technology behind it has produced verified examples running strong past 260,000 miles, with degradation in the low to mid-teens % range. With proper care and charging habits, many EV batteries are on a trajectory to reach 200,000 to 300,000 miles or more. That means a 100,000-mile EV with healthy battery isn't at the end of its life. It may not even be at the halfway point. The buyers who will get the best deals in today's used EV market are the ones who stop using mileage as a filter and start using battery health as a filter. Those are two different numbers, and only one of them actually tells you what you need to know. So, let's bring this home. A used EV with 100,000 miles is not automatically a risk. The data doesn't support that conclusion. Not when modern batteries routinely hold 88 to 95% capacity past that mileage mark, and not when vehicles that have driven past 200,000 miles on original packs are no longer rare. What makes a high-mileage EV a good buy is a simple checklist: battery health confirmed above 85%, warranty coverage verified and transferable, charging history reviewed and clean, a real-world range tested against the original EPA figure, system faults checked and cleared. Run that checklist and the mileage number stops being scary. It becomes irrelevant. Drop a comment below. Would you buy a used EV with 100,000 miles on it? Or is there still something holding you back? Tell me what it is. I read every comment, and your question might become the next video. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next one.